Okay. Thank you all so much. I am Clarice Lacey. I am a former director of the Justice for Trail organization, as well as I'm a member of the NAACP. And I would like to thank everyone for coming out tonight to this year's Sheriff and City Marshals Candidate Forum. Either you're here in person or you're tuning in online, we greatly appreciate your support tonight. I would like to thank the parish president's candidate, Mr. Grover Harrison. I see him in the back, and Mr. Jason Manola for attending last night's forum. It was a great success. Tonight's forum is also a highly anticipated event for the voters in the parish, as well as the Justice for Trail organization and the NAACP. The Justice for Trail organization was formed from the death of a trail queen due to a senseless act of violence that has also occurred in the city of Port Allen and the parish of West Baton Rouge. Since the formation of this organization, the Justice for Trail have been very influential in bringing awareness to violence that continues to plague our community. The sheriff being the CEO of public safety, and for the parish, to the city marshal, we want to clear our stance on electing leaders that would understand the importance of accountability, transparency, crime prevention, policies, procedure, and most of all, justice for all. The Justice for Trail organization and the NAACP is embarking upon their 6th year of partnership in hosting the candidate forums for the parish of West Baton Rouge and the city of Port Allen. Our goal is to ensure that the voters are able to make an informed decision when electing our future leaders. Oftentimes, we know that your decisions are based on information that you hear from someone else. So tonight, we want to allow you to make your own informed decision. All the candidates here will present their visions for the parish and the new direction in which they will move the parish in by using this forum as a larger platform. Being that we are all invested in electing accountable and transparent leaders, this forum serves as an accountability measure. Tonight, we have all the sheriff candidates, Mr. Jeff Bergeron, Mr. Leo Fondo, and Mr. Zach Simmons. Could we please give them a round of applause? We also have both of our city marshal candidates, Mr. Sonny Massey and Mr. Dwayne Lee. Could we give them a round of applause? As part of our planning for the forum, we do invite all candidates, and as you can see, all candidates stepped up to the plate. Mrs. Shelton Berry, who's a member of our Justice for Trail and the NAACP, will be our moderator for tonight. It is customary that we begin our forums and we end our forums with prayer. So without further ado, I will turn the mic over to Mr. Bernard Christmas, who will give us an opening prayer, and then you will hear from Mr. Shelton Berry, who will moderate and give us the forum rules. Thank you so much.
Come on, let's give Jesus a hand clap of praise. Oh, I'm sure y'all can do better than that. We're talking about the man that created us. Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus. Lord, we first of all want to thank you for this day, Lord. We want to thank you for your grace and thank you so much for your mercy, Lord God. Father, we just ask, dear God, that you would just be in the midst of us this night, that all will go in decent and in order. Father, we thank you for all things, and we need to first put you first, God. Father, we thank you for everyone that's assembled here tonight, and Father, we just ask that you cause us to be drawn closer to you, Father. We'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight. Open your minds, open your heart, but most of all, we want you to open your hearts to Jesus if you already haven't. Father, we thank you once again for this day, and we give you glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Let us all say amen. Amen. You may be seated.
Thank you, Reverend. Again, welcome everybody to the Justice for Trail Sheriffs and Marshals Forum. We've been doing this for about 6 years now, and as you can tell, the crowd has grown tremendously. We're excited to see everybody in attendance. Yesterday was phenomenal, and we expect that you all will have some good questions again today. 1 second to get the rules out. And while I'm doing that, if you look in your seats, there's some index cards. If you have some questions, please fill them out and get them to the ladies in the front. Ladies, could you stand for me? And in the back right there, could you hand your index cards to them? They will bring them to me, and I will ask the questions. Thank you, ladies. You may be seated. And I will ask the questions from there. Please try to get them in a timely fashion. Last night, we kind of ran over time. So if you have questions, start filling them out now and hand them to the ladies in the back. Thank you very much. Tonight, we're going to start with our city marshal candidates, and I'm going to read the rules. Time limits for candidate remarks and response will be strictly enforced. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for opening remarks, 1 minute to answer each question, and 2 minutes for a closing statement. A timekeeper will inform the candidates with a sign that they have 15 seconds remaining and they must stop speaking. The order in which each candidate will respond will rotate. Candidates may not display props, buttons, signs, or any other campaign-related paraphernalia. A table with literature will be made available in the back. There will be light refreshments served, and please be advised, candidates, that the rules will be strictly enforced. And with that being said, let's get started. Mr. Lee, we'll start with you. The first question, what do you believe are the most significant responsibilities of the Port Allen City Marshal's Office, and how do you plan to fulfill them? I'll read the question again. What do you believe are the most significant responsibilities of the Port Allen City Marshal's Office, and how do you plan to fulfill them?
It work?
Well, first, I worked the Marshal's Office for 1.5 years. Our goal was to be more positive with the community. We patrol Ward 3, which consists of Rebel Lane, Lindale, Tombstone, and Port Allen. My feel for the goal with the Marshal's Office is to be more positive with the community. If there's a problem with traffic, I know you see this guy with the yellow shirts making traffic stops all the time, call the Marshal's Office. We'll send the units out there to patrol. I understand the sheriff department, as well as the city, are overwhelmed with their jurisdiction. But I like to say personally that while I was there, the late Marshal, we rode each street in Lindale, each street in Rebel Lane, side by side. I like to keep that goal going. I want to see the Marshal's cars out in these neighborhoods, to interact with the community, to stop and talk to everybody, to know who you're talking to, let them know who we're watching their back. That's my goal.
Thank you. Mr. Massey, before you ask the question, I want to apologize, gentlemen. I didn't give you the opportunity to give an opening statement, so you can respond and give an opening statement after that. I do apologize.
Respond to the question first?
Yes, please.
Repeat the question for me?
Sure.
Sorry.
What do you believe is the most significant responsibilities of the Port Allen City Marshal's Office, and how do you plan to fulfill them effectively?
As from prior law enforcement, I've learned that, of course, ensure the safety of the citizens, right? That's the main goal for anyone, I believe. Currently have, the Marshal's Office currently has a dedicated group of employees that serve at the pleasure of the court. We do civil process, courtroom security, and we go out and patrol. We also have part-time workers that come out and help us out with the enforcement part. But that's some of the main responsibilities I believe are important to the Marshal's Office.
Thank you. Mr. Lee, you can now give an opening statement.
Well, my opening statement is that I have long prior experience in law enforcement. I've done 5 years, 6 years really, working for Port Allen PD with the late Marshal Mike Zito. I also worked from 1987 to 2014 and retired Baton Rouge Lieutenant Commander. But like I said, my family being here, I've been here since 61 years in the city of Puyallup. It's a great group of people here. The community is great. It's always quiet. But there are problems here. There are diversities that need to be changed. Everybody see it. There's always dividing on this side of the tracks or that side of the tracks. Well, overall, we can be, like I say, one community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Massey, open statement.
And I'm sorry, my apologies. Welcome, everyone. I meant to say that earlier before I started. But my name, for those who do not know me, is Sonny Massey. I'm a lifelong resident here in Port Allen, born, raised not far from here. I'm currently 60 years old, just turned that in July. I've been married to my wife, Christy, sitting back there somewhere. Hey, Christy. For 36 years. We just celebrated that 2 weeks ago. I have one daughter, Brianna, and of course, my new best friend, Miles, my grandbaby back there somewhere, hiding or cutting up. But it's a pleasure to be here, and I did go to my history. I did spend 34 years in law enforcement, plus years in law enforcement, 34 of it at the Sheriff's Office here in West Baton Rouge, where I served as a patrol officer, juvenile officer. While I was a dare officer, probably taught some of you in here, probably taught your kids, your grandkids, and no telling. Later went into, finish my career, 22 years riding motorcycles in the traffic division, doing traffic enforcement. That pretty much covers that. But anyway, thank you for being here, and hope you and get what you need out of this forum.
Thank you. We'll move on to our second question. The question is, we'll start with you, Mr. Massey, since Ms. Lee started first. The role of a city marshal office often involves law enforcement and public safety responsibilities. How would you prioritize community safety and engage in your tenure as city marshal?
A city marshal, actually the city marshal has the same authority as a sheriff. We do have a dedicated group of employees, like I said, that go out and do their job. We will work, as marshal, I will work closely side by side with the current police department, the sheriff's office, and also brutally and that is when need be. We feel it is important to work closely with other departments to ensure the safety of the citizens. Of course, that is our main goal as in law enforcement.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lee, same question, and I'll repeat the question for you.
Yes.
The role of a city marshal often involves law enforcement and public safety responsibilities. How would you prioritize community safety and engagement in your tenure as city marshal?
Well, my first thing would be, again, more public contact. Sitting behind a desk, sitting in the car, you just drive by, that's not public contact. I mean, school resource officers is a plus. More community outlet is a plus. But the marshal office should be more transparent. My take is that we get a lot of people get tickets for speeding. We got a lot of people get non-crime violation. I like to say, let's have an amnesty program. Amnesty program for non-violent crimes. We got outstanding warrants in the marshal's office. Warrants that have been 10, 15 years old. If you have an amnesty program and stuff, we can wipe this stuff out. Only for non-crime and traffic violations. But you wouldn't know this unless you put the thing out there. You got to publicize it that, hey, once a year or twice a year, we have an amnesty program. Come to the marshal's office and stuff, clear your record. But right now, it's hard because nobody don't trust the police per se. There's not enough contact. Not enough public leaders and stuff saying, look, let's get together with the public. But as the marshal stuff, I'll make sure my deputies will go out there and make contact.
Thank you,
with
Mr.
everybody.
Lee.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, that's time. I'm going to move on to our next question, and Mr. Lee, we'll start with you. Port Allen is a diverse community. How do you plan to promote diversity, equality, and inclusion within the City Marshal's office and ensure fair treatment for all residents?
Again, about transparency. I like to say, I invite anybody of the community in Ward 3, that's the city of Port Allen, Revel Lane, Lindale, open door policy. If you want to have a knowledge of law enforcement, I invite you to come to city court. Sit in the courtroom, see how the process works. Open door, ask questions. I also like to form a policy where that sort of reserve program. If you want to learn how to do law enforcement. We have retired police officers with 30 plus years that work as deputy marshals. I'll give opportunity to anybody here that wants to ride with a marshal to see what they do on a day-to-day basis. That way, regardless who you are, where you're at, it's something positive to do. It's one thing to sit there and complain about this, that, and everything else, but another thing is saying, look, let's see what they actually do. So I'm giving anybody an opportunity that wants to ride, wants to participate with the marshal's office, hey, come in.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Lee. Same question, Mr. Massey, and I repeat the question. Port Allen is a diverse community. How do you plan to promote diversity, equality, and inclusion within the City Marshal's office and ensure fair treatment for all residents?
First of all, by engaging in public, in providing a professional department. Most of our employees, except for one, we have one full-time employee currently, the marshal's office has one full-time employee. Everyone else is part-time. We hire post-certified law enforcement officers full-time who come out and work on a part-time basis for us. Those guys help us go out into the community and do their thing, engage, and provide a, like I said, professional division office.
Thank you. We'll move on to our next question. Mr. Massey, we'll start with you. What is your approach to recruiting, training, and retaining qualified and diverse personnel within the City Marshal's office?
The Marshal's office currently has a employee, our full-time guy, who is a post-certified instructor. He has taught at LSU, if I'm not mistaken, for a good while. Actually, I talked with him for a while. He is also a cultural adversity instructor. He has taught on the state level. He helps teach with that part as far as educating the part-time officers that work for us. As far as retaining people, like I said, we hire post-certified law enforcement officers who are full-time. Most of them come over to supplement their salaries. Those who aren't working overtime, because a lot of the departments are short right now, we hire them part-time, like I said, to come out and help us with enforcement and supplement their salaries.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lee, the same question. What is your approach to recruiting, training, and retaining qualified and diverse personnel within the City Marshal's office?
Well, my first approach is to put information out, West South Journal, social media, that we're actually applying for applications for positions at the Marshal's office. From that point on, the part-time marshals that's there will be a sort of selection committee. It's not just diversity for males and black and white, it's females as well too. There are no female deputy marshals. Okay, there aren't one. I was the first black male deputy marshal, there. The thing is, if you don't put the information out that we're accepting applications, nobody don't know. They might want to apply, but you got to put it out there first. That I'm accepting applications for males, females, young and old. But you got to put it out there, and you got to respond.
Thank you. We're now going to mix it up and ask some questions from the audience. And Mr. Lee, we'll start with you. What are the top 3 things you would fix if you were elected? What are the top 3 things that you would fix if you were elected?
The top 3 things: more transparency, more fairness, more openness. When I was at the marshal's office, mainly it's only 3 part-time marshals and 1 full-time marshal. The rest are deputy marshals. The thing that I'll change is get more personnel, get more output. But we need more people to join the marshal's office. The reserves, you don't get paid, but you do get the knowledge, you get the training to go out and ride around, to go out and meet people. Also, more cooperation with the local law enforcement, sheriff department, Port Allen PD. There should be some kind of camaraderie where and they know if they need something, we're there for them. That's the exact same thing. If we need something, they're there for us. But again, we need more public outreach and more public outcall.
Thank you. Mr. Massey, same question. What 3 things you would fix if you were elected? What 3 things you would fix if you were elected?
Well, I do believe in transparency. I believe everyone should be able to know what's going on. Community programs to reach out, and as I said, I was a dare officer at work. We can't save all of them, but we try. Also, as West Baton Rouge is growing, I believe that we're going to try to, I as a marshal, will try to help the marshal's office grow as West Baton Rouge is growing, expand the department, again, assist local PDs and sheriff's offices in patrols, and make us be more visible in the streets. Ensure the safety of our citizens.
Thank you, sir. We'll take another question from the audience. Mr. Massey, we'll start with you.
Yes, sir.
Will you be fair and impartial if someone chooses to support another candidate that is not yourself or who you are supporting? Will you be fair and impartial if someone chooses to support another candidate that is not yourself or someone who you support?
Absolutely. If someone chooses to vote for my opponent, I have no problem with that. It's a freedom. You have the right to vote for whoever you want to, support whoever you want to, and that's the only way it should be fair. I mean, I can't get mad at nobody if they don't vote for me. I'll do the best I can. If they, prefer my opponent, hey, that's their right.
Thank you. Mr. Leader, same question. Would you be fair and impartial if someone chooses to support a candidate that is not yourself or someone you support?
Oh, true. Yeah, I'll support them 110%. That's their right. That's the right to vote. To vote for who you choose to be, that you want to be in that position.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. Technology plays a vital role in modern-day law enforcement. How do you plan to leverage technology to enhance the effectiveness of the Port Allen City Marshal's Office and improve public safety? I'll repeat the question. Technology plays a vital role in modern law enforcement. How do you plan to leverage technology to enhance the effectiveness of the Port Allen City Marshal's Office and improve public safety?
Well, when I worked for Baton Rouge City and misdemeanor office, we had the same thing right now, Facebook, social media. Social media reaches everybody. Each department should have some kind of contact with social media, a Facebook page, where that the public can express, see what's going on in each department. I know in Baton Rouge, they show the academy, they show fairs, they show functions and stuff. When I was in the marshal's office, I had them implement a program called ThinkStream. This is a social media program where that you can pull up information on different people. But without that technology, you got to have that technology to actually do your job out here, to reach people. but it's a plus.
Thank you. Mr. Massey, the same question, and I'll repeat the question. Technology plays a vital role in modern-day law enforcement. How do you plan to leverage technology to enhance the effectiveness of the Port Allen City Marshal's Office and improve public safety?
Currently at the city marshal's office, they use the internet. The internet, of course, is very vital in locating people so we can serve papers, their houses, where they may live, and so forth. So that's one of the main things we use on a daily basis. Other than that, outside of the office, or sometimes if we need it, we do have access to state and FBI databases we can use, as well as other sources outside of the office.
Thank you. We'll take another question from the audience, and Mr. Massey, we'll start with you. What are your plans to ensure that employees have satisfactory performance within their job duties and attendance accountability? How will you ensure a level of standard is being met? Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Sure. What are your plans to ensure that the employees will have satisfactory performance within their job duties and attendance accountability? How will you ensure a level of standard is being met?
Oh, definitely by monitoring their work ethics. Ethics, professionalism, very important. We would, like I said, monitor that on a daily basis as they come out. I say a lot of our employees, or the employees at the marshal's office, are part-time. They come out, work certain, not set hours. When they're available, they do come out and work. But when they're there, we will monitor their attitudes, I say the way they conduct themselves, and deal with it accordingly.
Mr. Lee, the same question. What are your plans to ensure that employees will have satisfactory performance within their job duties and attendance accountability? How will you ensure a level of standard is being met?
Well, in the marshal's office, when I was there, we had timesheets. The timesheets is a patrol sheet. It showed you the hourly movement of each deputy marshal, what area he patrols, and the time he works. Once a year, we send those guys to, they call the misdemeanor probation seminar, which is given in Lake Charles once a year. That's the only training that they actually did when I was there. I feel there should be more training. There should be more accessible training with the Sheriff Department as well, Port Allen PD. There are capable to get that training if they apply. As a marshal, I will make sure that each deputy marshal, regardless of their age and stuff, at least have opportunity to get that training. The training is free. It's given by the state.
Thank you. We have two more general questions. If anybody from the audience have any questions, please continue to fill those out at this time and hand them in. We have two more general questions. Thank you. Mr. Lee, we'll start with you. The City Marshal Office serves legal documents such as evictions and court orders. How will you ensure these processes are carried out fairly and professionally?
Well, when I was at the marshal's office, I did a few evictions. The marshal did stop by to make sure it was done properly, and everybody, again, stayed in a safe distance while they conducted their departure. But overall, the marshal has always been there when his deputy marshals are doing evictions, and each separate marshal that does civil papers, well, mind you, they go by themselves. And we have jurisdiction outside Ward 3, which is in the parish of Western Rouge Parish. But there are contacts on the radio. They notify dispatch where they're located. So I actually know exactly where they're at all given time. But at the end of the day, once they serve the paperwork, they bring it in, they timestamp it, give it to the lady at the front desk.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Okay.
Mr. Massey, the same question. The City Marshal Office often serves legal documents such as evictions and court orders. How will you ensure that these processes are carried out fairly and professionally?
The Marshal's Office follows guidelines from the state as far as serving papers. Some papers are different. Some are real time sensitive. We have to ensure that they're done that properly. Our dedicated group of workers we have, or the Marshal's Office has, currently including myself, I do work there part-time. We go out and make sure everything's done in a professional manner, like I said, following the guidelines or the laws of the state.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Massey, we'll start with you. As a candidate for this position, what events, activities, and volunteer work have you been involved in the community, within the city?
Within the city? Been involved in some, I'm trying to think of some things I've been involved in. Besides doing it, being a dare officer, I went out and taught classes to different groups of people, whether children or I've been taught classes to bus drivers. Try to attend as much as I can when called upon. Of course, everybody's lives are different, and I do, since I retired, I do have a good bit of time on my hands. I try to keep myself busy, but in the past I have attended as much as I can, like I said, ranging from teaching children classes up to adults, whatever needed to be done within my professionalism, my professional.
Thank you. Mr. Lee, the same question. As a candidate for this position, what events, activities, and volunteer work have you been involved in within the community and within the city?
Not too many events, besides Juneteenth, WBR Park, but I do a lot of walking. I walk the levee every morning, but overall, since I retired, spend a lot of time at home with the granddaughter.
Thank you. Last of the general questions. Mr. Lee, we'll start with you. Managing a budget is an essential aspect of this role. How will you ensure responsible financial management at the City Marshal's Office while still meeting the needs of its operations?
Well, when I done the budget for the misdemeanor office and stuff in Baton Rouge, it's planning outlay. With the Marshal's Office, there's timesheets for each deputy marshal. Those timesheets are turned in weekly. They're also turned into the Rouge Parish jury's office. Each timesheet has to be signed by the marshal. Anything deal with budget, anything deal with purchasing cars, equipment, has to be signed by the marshal's office, by the marshal himself. So all that paperwork, all that documentation is kept there.
Thank you. Mr. Massey, the same question. Managing a budget is an essential aspect of this role. How will you ensure responsible financial management at the City Marshal's Office while still meeting its operational needs?
Currently, the City Marshal operates on, I'm going to say, basically 3 tiers. The first one, we have an on-staff bookkeeper that takes care of all the income and expenses at the office. The second part, the bookkeeper transfers them to a CPA who takes those expenses and incomes, builds up a monthly report and sent back to the marshal's office for review and approval, which is, let's say, strictly monitored. And the third part, yearly, there's an audit by as a CPA firm that makes sure everything, all the monthly, yearly reports are done properly.
Okay. Thank you. Now we'll have some closing statements. And since we started with Mr. Lee, Mr. Massey, we'll start with you. You have 2 minutes for closing statement.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Again, thank you for everyone for coming. Good to see a lot of people I haven't seen in a while, met some new faces. But to say this, I'm not a seasoned politician, never have been, but yet here I stand. I'm going to say God had a calling for me I didn't know about, and again, here I am. But if I haven't, I've been walking the parish for the last month or so. If I haven't met you, I would really want to meet you. I'm trying to get by everyone's house before the election day. If I don't, please call me, reach out some type of way. I'm on Facebook. Somebody in here knows me. If you see somebody in here that you know, ask them, they'll get in touch with me. If I don't have your support now, I would really like that opportunity to earn it. As I feel I would make a good marshal. Let's say I'm fair. I'm professional as I can be, not perfect. There's only one person that was perfect in this world, and he died on the cross for us. That's my belief. But I do what I can. And other than that, I appreciate your support. October 14th, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Massey. Mr. Lee, closing statements.
Well, again, Dwayne Lee Sr. I think all y'all know my son, DJ. Yes. Everybody know my dad, Richard Lee Jr. He might have rode a school bus. But as a marshal, I'm dedicated. I've always been dedicated. 110% law enforcement. Well, I'm a people person. This is my community. I've been here 61 years with the Holy Family. Played basketball, played football. I know pretty much everybody, but I've been gone for a while, but I'm back. If you vote for me, I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. All thing I can do is ask. When you go behind that curtain, pull that lever, 61, that's me. My age and my number. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give Mr. Lee and Mr. Massey another hand. It takes an incredible amount of courage to get before the public and speak and ask questions, especially from the general public. So we thank you, gentlemen, for attending tonight, and you guys did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you. If you want to. I'm going to hang around.
All right, now we're going to move on to our sheriff's forum. I'm going to read the rules again for each candidate, and we will start in alphabetical order with 2 minutes for the opening statement. You'll have a minute to respond. You'll get a 15-second warning, and then you have 2 minutes for your closing statement. The candidates may not display props, buttons, signs, or any other campaign-related paraphernalia. A table for campaign literature will be made available in the back. And remember, the time limits will be strictly enforced. You'll have 2 minutes for your opening remarks, 1 minute to answer each question, and 2 minutes for a closing statement. The timekeeper will inform you with a sign when there are 15 seconds remaining. The order in which each candidate responds will rotate. Any questions, gentlemen? Okay, let's begin. Mr. Bergeron, we'll start with you. How will you address, opening statements again. I apologize. Let's start with opening statements.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Justice for Trail organization for hosting this event tonight. My name is Jeff Bergeron. I'm going to give you an introduction about myself and my background. I've been married to Brandy Bergeron for 28 years from Burley, Louisiana. I've got 3 children, Brady, Brian, and Ben, 1 daughter-in-law, Michaela. We lifelong residents of West Baton Rouge. I attended Holy Family School. I attended Port Allen High School, and then LSU, where I earned a degree in criminal justice in 1991. In 1992, began employment at the Louisiana Attorney General's office as a criminal investigator, and I've been there for the last 31 years. In 2009, I was selected to go to the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia for a 10-week program where I graduated in 2009. I'm currently hold the rank of Deputy Director of Criminal Investigations in the Louisiana Bureau of Investigation, which oversees our cybercrime unit, our special investigation unit, our fugitive apprehension unit, and our trial unit. I'm currently a post-certified firearms instructor. I'm the training coordinator for our office also. I sit on 2 boards for the Louisiana Attorney General. I sit on the Louisiana Commission on Law Enforcement and the Post Council for the Attorney General. I have been involved in this community all my life. As a child, I played basketball on this very court. As an adult, I've coached your child or your grandchild on this very court. I am a part of the fabric of West Baton Rouge. And as your sheriff, I will be an integral part of this community. I promise.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bergeron. Mr. Fontenot, opening statements.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leo Fontenot. I am a migrant of New Orleans. Mother was raising me and 3 older sisters in the projects of Desire Projects in New Orleans. I landed here by friends of the family in what was considered to be the worst community in the parish of West Baton Rouge, a little area called Tombstone. I grew up on the River Road right there by Tombstone, landed in the hands of Eli and Verna Jean Johnson. Mr. Eli works Park and Recreation, about 15, 20 years of his life here, where I got my first start here and connected to the family of Parks and Recreation when I was about 14 years old, 15 years old. Coming up through the ranks right here, homegrown, being in the parish, part of the parish, still here standing after 31 years of being employed with the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office. When I first got the opportunity, my application had a question mark on it because of where I came from. But I said to my dad, Mr. Eli Johnson, you get me that application, I'll fill it out. Army slogan said, be all you could be. I've been all that I could have been for 31 years of service right here, the parish of West Baton Rouge. One hit, one wonder, one job. Same professional public servant that I've been, protecting and serving the parish of West Baton Rouge. That's what I vowed to do. That's what I intend to do if I'm elected the next sheriff, the first black sheriff of West Baton Rouge Parish. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fontenot. Mr. Simmers, 2 minutes for an opening statement.
Thank you. I hope y'all don't mind if I move around a little bit. I got a little touch of ADD. But look, my name's Zach Simmers. I've been working here. This is the only job I've had as an adult. Okay, is working here for the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office. Several months ago, I realized that I was not in a position to make a difference anymore, and I left, and I have been knocking on doors ever since. I could sit up here and I could tell you about my resume, but my resume is all over every piece of literature. It's just been mailed to your houses. It's on the internet, and if you haven't got it, my cell phone number's everywhere. Call me and we'll talk about it. I want to talk about what I'm going to do, not what I did. You know, thank the Justice for Trail Foundation, the NAACP, Catherine, Miss Tara. I stand with you. I don't stand against you. I want to stand on side of you. I want to work these problems out. Day one under my administration, I'm going to empower and employ a team of detectives to solve these unsolved murders in this parish, okay? I don't care whether they happen in West Baton Rouge, Port Allen, or anywhere else. I stand with you, and I'm looking you in your eyes, and I'm making you a promise right now. Catherine, I'm telling you the same thing. That's what I stand for, that's who I am, and that's what I want to do. Thank y'all. Thank everybody for coming. It shows that you care. Shows that you actually care about what's going on in our community. I want to thank these guys up here that are running against me, my running mates I call them. This has been a clean campaign, as clean as we can ask for. Thank y'all, and thank everybody here.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, not to prolong time, we're going to ask that you just hold your applause and any outbursts until the end. Thank you very much. Mr. Fontenot, we'll start with you. The first question is, how will you address concerns about transparency and accountability within the Sheriff's Office, particularly in cases of alleged conduct or misuse of force by deputies?
My first approach would be with that of installing body cams, having those readily made available on all the officers that's out there in the enforcement ranks. Secondly, I would like to put the dash cams in all these units that's out here, that's combing through the cracks and crevices of the public. Those will be a first step in the right position to hopefully put a curb in all of the wrong activities that's going on out there and the wrongdoings. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Simmons, same question. How will you address concerns about transparency and accountability within the Sheriff's Office, particularly in the cases of alleged misconduct or use of force by deputies?
First off, I will not tolerate misconduct by our deputies. It's a part of the reason why I left the Sheriff's Office in the first place. I've been preaching body cameras long before I decided to run for sheriff, okay? And that is it's a key, it's a tool in the tool belt that we need. It's 2023. But I will empower these deputies to do what they need to do. And I also believe that sometimes certain investigations, whether it be certain investigations within the department, require an outside agency to come in and be as fair and impartial as possible. We want to leave no stone unturned, period. I will not tolerate.
Thank you. Mr. Bergeron, the same question. Would you like me to repeat the question?
No, that's fine. Sure. I think policy and oversight is the way to handle that. You have to have a comprehensive policy in place. To my knowledge, the West Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office does not have a policy in place at this time. Body cameras is going to help. For transparency issues, I plan to issue an annual report. That annual report will have all the crime stats of the Sheriff's Office for the previous year. It'll outline budget. It'll outline the good things the Sheriff's Office is doing. As far as the use of force, I think body cameras is a must. But what you do, you have a critical incident briefing. If an incident happens and that deputy's not following protocol and policies, there will be a critical incident briefing where that incident is relayed to the public in a short manner. And that's where your transparency comes in.
Thank you. Mr. Simmers, we'll start with you. First question from the audience. Today is the first home football game at Port Allen High since the shooting. What will you do when elected to bring this community back together?
That's a very, very good question. Look, I was on the game. I was on my way to the game. My wife and my two small children, a 6-year-old and a 1-year-old, and I had to turn around. What will we do? What will the sheriff do? I think we ought to ask ourselves, what is the community going to do? We all need to get involved. We need programs. We need mentor. We need to foster these children that have nowhere to go. And I'm not just talking about a junior deputy program. Everybody might not want to participate in a junior deputy program. I don't know. We could figure the sexiest name we can call it, but figure it out. But we have to get to these kids, and we have to get to them before it's too late. It's heartbreaking what happened at that game. When my son and I go to a football game, I don't worry about him. I let him run around. I let him run around. He's 6 years old. I look around for him every once in a while. If I can't find him, oh well, I know he's going to be all right. This is ridiculous, and we have to put an end to it now.
Thank you. Mr. Bergeron, the same question. I'll repeat the question. Today is the first home football game at Port Allen High since the shooting. What will you do when elected to bring the community back together?
Well, you're going to hear me say this a lot tonight. You gain trust by your actions. You know, actions speak louder than words. You mentor these youth. You get into the schools. You teach conflict resolution. You teach violence is not the answer. And it's education. Education is the key to stopping our youth from these violent acts.
Thank you, Mr. Fontenot. The same question. Today is the first home football game at Port Allen High since the shooting. What will you do when elected or if elected, to bring the community back together?
First off, Mr. Moderator, I think you would have to heal first. First off, you have to get your neighborhood to trust and believe in God, number one, okay? That's going to be the number one ingredient to everything that we have to do. In every direction in which we're going into, you're going to have to make God your number one ingredient. And when an incident like such happening and taking place right here in the small parish of West Baton Rouge, we need a formulated plan. We need to ensure the community, after we've healed, after we've educated, after we've set some plans in place to reach out to our youth, we have to formulate a plan to make sure that these types of incidents don't happen again. We have to make sure that we're concentrating on the public safety of these events. Events of those magnitudes, we have to have boots on the ground, people in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bergeron, I'll start with you with the next question. Aside from the reentry program that's currently in effect, what initiatives will you introduce to improve the rehabilitation and reintegration of individuals that have been incarcerated back into society?
I believe vocational programs is very important for the incarcerated. Right now, you know, they can attend the AA meetings, they can attend the anger management meetings, and they're getting good time. Let's go out into the community, see what the businesses want. For example, one could be the auto body and auto painting. That is a need. That's a need right now that these people, these businesses are looking for. Let's train our inmates. Let's train our inmates to get a job and to get a vocation. Culinary arts is another one. There's many restaurants in the parish. Let's train them, let them work with their hands, let's give them a trade, and let's put them to work once they get out of jail.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, same question. Aside from the reentry program that's currently in effect, what initiatives will you introduce to improve the rehabilitation and the reintegration of individuals that have been incarcerated back into society?
Thank you. I had a plan in mind similar to that of candidate Bergeron. I resorted back to way back when we had these programs on the ground here in the parish. I remember when you had the Jumonville vocational skills right back here on Rosedale Road. I remember when I attended the trade school here on 14th Street when I was in high school. If we can get with the parish president and hopefully install or get a vocational skills center in place for these gentlemen that's waiting to go back into society or what have you, on the levels of small engine repair, culinary arts, you're looking at certified mechanics. All of these trades right here will prove to be beneficial to all these what we call them now residents that's looking to go back into society. Hopefully, with that being said and done,
Thank you.
if they go out with a trade, they could be productive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Simmers, same question. Aside from the reentry program that's currently in effect, what initiatives would you introduce to improve the rehabilitation and reintegration of individuals who have been incarcerated back into society?
That's a great question. Thank you. And I've thought long and hard about this, and I'm going to tell you, each offender is different, okay? I'll use this as an example. This guy could have been locked up for selling drugs, and he's been incarcerated for a couple of years, okay? Well, this guy made a 36 on ACT. He's not dumb. He doesn't need educational training, okay? Each individual person, each individual offender needs their own, they need to be evaluated, and we're going to figure out what to do with each of them. Just like Jeff Baton said and Leo Fontenot said here, vocation, vocation, vocation. We can preach that all day long. But like Jeff said earlier, actions speak louder than words. We have to do this. We have to do this. Right now, these people are getting nothing. They're getting nothing. They're getting a reentry program, they're going to their work release, and they're trying to make it when they get out. And we have to change that period. As a sheriff, we can do what we can do, but it also takes a community. I don't want to mix religion and politics, but this is where I'm going to lean on the local spiritual leaders of this community.
Thank you. Mr. Bergeron, this question is for you, starting with you rather. Unsolved murders have been a pressing issue within the city of Port Allen. How will you engage with the marginalized and underrepresented communities to ensure their concerns and needs are being addressed by the Sheriff's Office?
First of all, I would meet with the area chiefs, discuss their communities, discuss their needs as far as the law enforcement needs. One of my platforms are going to be to create a crime scene unit. And if one of these municipalities, is there a violent crime and occurs in one of those municipalities, the crime scene unit would be available to collect, preserve that evidence, get it to the crime scene for testing, and if we need to assist with detectives to help those municipalities, we will.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, the same question. Unsolved murders have been a pressing issue within the city of Port Allen. How will you engage with the marginalized and unrepresented communities to ensure their concerns and needs are being addressed by the Sheriff's Office?
First off, we want to get with all of these smaller agencies. We want to find out what type of resources or what type of talented people they have on payroll. What's their qualifications? Do they have the resources to actually investigate these crimes? Okay? If they don't have these resources available, then we check our roster out as the Sheriff's Office and we see what we have readily available to afford them, to be able to afford them. And once we do that, we put our minds together, and if we can investigate this crime, we will do so. Without hesitation, this is what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be our brother's keeper. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. You look out for me, I look out for you. That's what we're all about, and that's what the Sheriff's Office will be all about. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Simmers, same question. Unsolved murders have been a pressing issue within the city of Port Allen. How will you engage with the marginalized and unrepresented communities to ensure their concerns and needs are being addressed by the Sheriff's Office?
Thank you. Okay, so my position at the District Attorney's Office has afforded me a lot of good relationships with these local municipalities. Okay, some of them are understaffed, underpaid, and they just don't get the training that we have at the Sheriff's Office. And make no mistake about that, if I'm elected sheriff, we're not here to take part. If you can't do your job, we're here to take over, and we're going to help you, and we're going to solve these murders. We're going to do everything that we can. You can work by our side all you want, but we will take over, and we will put one foot in front of the other, and we will solve these murders. There's too many murders in this little small community that have gone unsolved. It's ridiculous, and it's time that somebody steps up, owns it. The sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer in this parish. He can take it over, and that's what I intend on doing.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, we'll start with you. How would you stop corruption that now exists in the current administration? Question again from the audience is, how will you stop corruption that now exists in the current administration?
If there's any corruption that's involved and we're made aware of it, that will be a thorough investigation done. If it's done in the form of a formal complaint, if it's on the inside, we'll address it from the inside. We'll run it up through the ranks of an internal investigation. Once it reaches to the IA officer, he will thoroughly investigate it, and we will make a decision from there. And once you're found guilty, you'll be held to abide by the law and be addressed by the law as the charge and the revised statutes fit. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Simmers, same question. How would you stop the corruption that's going on in the current administration?
Well, I'm glad this is being live streamed because it's going to be played all over what I'm about to say. But I'm telling you now, I will not tolerate corruption. I won't tolerate it. It's a part of the reason why I left the administration and decided to knock on doors every day. We as law enforcement officers are supposed to be held to a higher standard, not an equal one, and definitely not a lesser one. It will not be tolerated, period. If I catch you misappropriating one penny, I don't care who you are, you're going to jail. We are supposed to be held to a higher standard. And if you can't hear the passion in my voice right now, then you need your hearing checked, because I will not tolerate it, period.
Thank you. Mr. Bergeron, the same question. How will you stop the corruption that now exists in the current administration?
You stop corruption by holding your employees accountable, set policies, and when something does occur, you act swiftly. As Deputy Director of the Attorney General's Office, we see these cases statewide. We put many people in jail, from mayors to chiefs to clerks, because they misappropriated money. Under my administration, everybody will be held to a higher standard, and it won't be tolerated.
Thank you. Mr. Simmons, we'll start with you. With a massive budget, how do you intend to maintain or improve quality and effectiveness of law enforcement services? And what accountability measures are in place to help with fiscal responsibility?
Once again, we live streaming. The last time I was asked this question, that put me in a quagmire with some colleagues of mine. I will spend your money responsibly, period. The CPA had better get ready to go to work. We're going to tear the budget upside down and inside out. We're going to go line for line, and we will spend your money on law enforcement and community relations. That's what you pay us for. The service that the taxpayers of this parish pays us for is law enforcement. And my belief, I'll say it again, is you're not getting what you're paying for, period. And I plan on changing that.
Mr. Bergeron, the same question. With a massive budget, how do you intend to maintain or improve the quality and effectiveness of law enforcement services? And what accountability measures are in place to help with fiscal responsibility?
As sheriff, I plan to improve your law enforcement services. And you do that by you increase deputy pay. You increase deputy pay, you recruit the best and the brightest, you train the best and the brightest, and you want them to retire from the sheriff's office. That's how you improve the quality of law enforcement in West Baton Rouge Parish. As far as the fiscal responsibilities, there's a chief financial officer that's employed by the sheriff's office. How you put internal controls in. You put internal controls in where one person does not control the first transaction to the last transaction. You have multiple people overseeing the financial transactions, and not one person is responsible for doing that. That's how you increase your financial responsibility.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, the same question. With a massive budget, how do you intend to maintain or improve the quality and effectiveness of law enforcement services? And what accountability measures you'll put in place to help fiscal responsibility?
First off, to improve the quality of the law enforcement services, I plan to equip, and educate and put in place a team of individuals that's going to be out here patrolling, doing what they're getting paid to do, doing what's expected of them as law enforcement officers and public servants, okay? Once you've done that, and you've got your good team of individuals to patrol aggressively, I have the hopes that someday we can beef up the patrols, beef up the unit size. As opposed to 4 units on the streets, let's see if we can get 6. That way I got 2 on the south end, I got 2 in the central zone, and I got 2 on the north end. Yes, we can do that. Also, as far as the accountability, that's between me and the CPA. We're going to have some talks about this budget on a monthly fashion to make sure that it's balanced. Thank you.
We're going to take some more questions from the audience. And ladies and gentlemen, I promise, there's a lot of questions. I'm going to try to get through all of them tonight. And if we don't, then I'm sure the candidates will be around to answer any questions that you may have. But if you have any more questions, please at this time hand them to the ladies. The lady to the left, she's holding up some cards. Please hand them at this time so we can make sure that we try to get all questions in. Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, we'll start with you. How would you change the perception towards minorities in the Sheriff's Department? How would you change the perception towards minorities in the Sheriff's Department?
Towards the perception of minority within the sheriff's office, we have to treat everyone fair. Okay, we have to be fair and impartial all the way across the board. We just can't be prejudiced one way or the other. We have to be fair and impartial. Okay, everybody has to be afforded an equal opportunity for whatever it is or whatever the case may be, as it resolves to a job opening or whatever you have that's going on. Whether he's been accused of something, we have to be equal, fair, and impartial on every level. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Simmers, same question. Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How would you change the perception towards minorities within the Sheriff's Department? How would you change the perception towards minorities within the Sheriff's Department?
Just like we all talked about earlier, actions, not words, actions, not words. Okay, I believe in equality for all, not just the people, the men and women of the West Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. I don't care what color you are or what your religion is. If you put on that badge and you swore to protect the people of this parish, you're a police officer. I don't see you as a black man, a white man, a black woman, a white woman, an Indian, or whatever else. Actions, period. I mean, it's a short answer for me. I don't see color. I'm sorry.
Mr. Bergeron, same question.
No, I haven't. So I agree. You're going to hear time and time again, your actions speak louder than words. Being consistent with your actions, being consistent. I believe the deputy should take diversity training. Let's train them. Right now, we post-certified officers have to take electives and training. Let's include that diversity training with our deputies and our employees. And again, it goes back to treating everyone fairly. It goes back to treating everyone fairly, everyone the same. And as sheriff, I will do that.
Okay. Mr. Simmers, we're going to start with you. This question is on juvenile crime. Do you support a juvenile facility in West Baton Rouge Parish and the 18th JDC? And if so, why? Again, that question is, do you support a juvenile facility in West Baton Rouge Parish or the 18th JDC? And if so, why?
Ooh, I only got a minute to answer this. Yes, I do. I support one at the 18th JDC, and I'm gonna talk fast right here. My wife's looking at me, telling me to slow down, but I can't because I got a lot to say. All right, right now we have no place to send these children. This is not just a local problem, it's a national problem with these children out there committing crimes, especially here locally. They know that our hands are tied and we can do nothing about it. We can't send them to a facility, okay? I don't want our tax dollars to pay for it. I had a conversation with Congressman Garrett Graves the other day. Where's the federal dollars at? We need some help. We need some federal dollars to come in here, and we need to build a facility, not just for West Baton Rouge, but for the whole 18th JDC. We just signed a contract at the sheriff's office the other day, and it would blow your mind how much money it was to house them in Mississippi. And it's ridiculous, and we shouldn't be paying for that, okay? I do support it. I just don't want to pay for it. We have to give these kids a tool also to use when they get out of there, whether it be a trade, an education, something. We can't just lock them up.
Thank you. Mr. Bergeron, the same question. Do you support a juvenile facility in West Baton Rouge Parish or the 18th JDC? And if so, why?
Yes, I do. And actually, I have a plan to house juveniles, violent juveniles, right here in West Baton Rouge. Right now at the parish prison, we have a women's dorm. Trustees are in that women's dorm. We can renovate that dorm to make it accommodable for juvenile offenders without taxing you. I have a plan to do that. And you know what? We can go further than that. There's a program, let's get into the middle school. There's a program called GREAT, Gang Resistance Education and Training. Let's start at the 5th grade level. Let's teach these kids how not to go to guns for a resolution, conflict resolution, how not to go into the gangs. This program is similar to the DARE program, and it works.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, the same question. Do you support a juvenile facility in West Baton Rouge Parish or the 18th JDC? And if so, why?
juvenile facility here in West Baton Rouge Parish? Well, I'm thinking back to the days of JCCY. We all know why JCCY is now shut down, because of all the lawsuits and the liabilities that was taking place with all these juvenile delinquents that's wreaking havoc right here all around the world. We already know the liability that's going to take place once we open ourselves up to a juvenile facility. Of course, we do have to find a way to put a curb in the crime and all the activities that they're doing, but I resort back to the educational ways. Let's see if we can reach them before we have to put handcuffs on them. That way we won't have to invest in a juvenile facility. So in that case, at this point in time in my administration, I'm not just yet open for juvenile facility. Thank you.
Thank you. More questions from the audience? How will you raise the salary for deputies? And will it be sufficient for them to survive? What do you think about a salary raise?
I'm in favor of increasing the starting pay for deputies. I think you get into the budget, you cut some things, you cut some areas, and you find the money to increase deputy pay. That is the only way we're going to recruit and retain good deputies, is increase their starting pay and train them to have a good product for you, the citizens of West Baton Rouge.
Mr. Fano, the same question. How will you raise the salary for deputies? And then will it be sufficient for them to survive? What is your opinion on a salary increase?
I'm all for salary increases. We've talked about this over and over again. I don't even want to think back to what I was making when I first started out 31 years ago. But right now, that's part of the reason why we can't attract good talent, good certified people, is because of the package that we are offering right here, right now. So yes, we'd have to take a look into the budget to see what we can afford and what we cannot afford. That's all part of planning and budgeting. Thank you.
Mr. Simmons, the same question.
I don't need you to repeat, sir. Just like Jeff and Leo said, I think we can all agree on this. I'm going to say it a little bit different, though. We need to cut out wasteful spending. The West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, in my opinion, I've looked at the budget, I've sat with the accountants, I've talked to CPAs. We spend money on things that we don't need to be spending money on, okay? And we can be spending that money retaining good employees. we're losing them left and right every day. I mean, we're competing with the River Road. Every chemical plant that we know of is in a 30-mile stretch on either side of the river. We just cannot compete. The only way to compete is to raise starting pay and to raise the existing pay. We can't forget about the guys that have been here 10 years. They deserve to make more money too, okay? If the only way that we're going to retain good, qualified people to work here, and I use the word retain, is to pay them.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, we'll start with you. And we're going back to body cameras. Do you pledge to make sure that all deputies have body cameras on them at all times?
Yes, indeed. Yes, that's part of the updating. You're going to need these body cams on at all times. You're going to need these dash cams on at all times. That's going to justify your actions. It could help you or it could hurt you. It's all according on how you're conducting your daily activities in your enforcement duties. Thank you. So I'm with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Simmers, same question.
Yes, sir. Well, I don't know how I'm going to say this. Probably going to lose my paycheck Monday, but we already have body cameras at the sheriff's office that are locked in a closet that the sheriff does not want to use, okay? Those body cameras, who knows if they'll even be up to date software-wise when one of the three of us takes over, but we have them. We all agree they need to be used. It's 2023, okay? We talk about transparency and accountability. Yes, I do plan on putting body cameras on every deputy that we have. It's 2023. Everybody else has them. We're behind the curve, period.
Mr. Bergeron, same question.
Yes, 100% in favor of body cameras, and also setting policies regarding those body cameras and holding every deputy accountable to adhering to those policies in reference to body cameras.
Another question from the audience. Mrs. Simmers, we'll start with you. Can we, the residents of Irwinville, get another deputy or some type of station in the Irwinville area? Will another deputy be cheaper than a substation? What is your opinion?
My opinion on that is yes. You're in the Irwinville area and other areas of the parish, you're underserved, okay? From day one, I've been preaching about putting a substation in Irwinville. A substation can only do so many things, though. We have to have another deputy in Irwinville. Right now, we have one deputy that patrols the north end of the parish. If they have a call on Rosedale Road at the Iberville Parish line and another call at Arbroath, running code with your lights and sirens going as fast as your vehicle can possibly go, it's going to take you 15 minutes to get there. So if you're in a bind, you're your own first line of defense. Make no mistake. Yes, we will have increased patrols in Irwinville and a substation, and I'm also going to have community ambassadors, and we're going to talk about that later in one of the questions that you asked on the forum for each part of the parish.
Thank you. Same question, Mr. Bergeron, and I repeat it. Can we, the residents of Irwinville, get another deputy or some type of station in the Irwinville area? Will another deputy be cheaper than a substation? What's your opinion?
Absolutely. I've been talking about a substation in the northern part of the parish for several years now. 100% behind it, 100% for increased patrols there. That substation will, if you put those deputies in the northern part of the parish and you keep them there, the response times are better. And I would like to partner with the fire stations and build a public safety complex in the northern part of the parish to have a fire station and a substation together, where you have brand new fire trucks. Now I know that's not my purview, that's not my lane, but I'm looking 10 years down the road for vision to have a public safety complex in the northern part of the parish with a brand new fire station and a brand new sheriff's department.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, the same question. I'll repeat it. Can we, the residents of Irwinville, get another deputy or some type of station in the Irwinville area? Will another deputy be cheaper than a substation in the Irwinville area? What is your opinion on that?
Most certainly we could beef up the manpower. As one of your questions earlier I stated, that would be one of my aspects in the near future here, is to beef up the uniform patrol, having at least 2 men in each area of the parish. 2 on the south, 2 in the north, 2 in the central areas. Okay, worst case scenario, yes, we can consider this substation being placed out there in the Irwinville area. But we're looking at a situation where Irwinville is not such a, I guess, a high crime area, but they do have their share of crimes. And also, we're talking about the response time. Yes, that's of concern to all the residents there. That's why we get more boots on the ground, more patrols, make it going round and round. If we can get to that point, to get some more cars moving out there, I think we'll have a better response from the public. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Bergeron, we'll start with you. What would you do if you had to arrest one of your deputies? What would be your procedures? The question again, what would you do if you had to arrest one of your deputies? What would be the procedure?
Treat them as any other person. No one's above the law. Again, my deputies will be held to a higher standard. They will be accountable for their actions, and they will not be treated any different than anyone else.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, same question. What would you do if you had to arrest one of your deputies? What would be your procedures?
If it were me and I broke the law, I would expect to be arrested. If it were one of my deputies that broke the law, he or she should expect to be arrested. I had my boss one year come to my desk when I came back to administration, asked me if I knew a certain individual, and I said, yes, sir, I do know him. He was one of my nephews. He said, I want him off the streets. I said, yes, sir. Just lock up the office. I'm leaving right now. I'm going to get him. We hunted him like the fugitive he had made himself, with tracking dogs, 20 men on the ground, behind the levee, up and down the levee, 4-wheelers. But yes, he was brought to justice and he was arrested. So I wouldn't have a problem with arresting one of my own. Thank you.
Mr. Simmers, same question.
I got it. Yeah. We all talked about this, and we can keep talking about it. Actions speak louder than words. I've lost count of how many deputies I've arrested. When you take that oath, you're held to a higher standard. I put my boss, who was like a second daddy to me, in jail. Everything that he was teaching me to do, he was doing it the wrong way, and I didn't know about it until I found out about it, and I put him in jail. Did it hurt? Yeah, for a second, but then I felt good about it because we took an oath to do the right thing. If you break the law, you're going to jail, period. A sheriff's deputy's job is to enforce the law. The law is black and white. I won't say trouble, but people are a little upset with me right now because I arrested a cop not too long ago, you know? And these go back to these reasons why I left the sheriff's office. It's not just one. It's a multitude of reasons. But yes, I will arrest them. They break the law, they're going to jail, period. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're from the previous administration.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, we'll start with you. The country is floating arming teachers in the classroom. The country is floating arming teachers in the classroom. What are your thoughts about that? Sure. The country is floating arming teachers in the classroom. What are your thoughts about that? Arming teachers.
Oh, okay. Teachers with guns is
That's
what
correct.
you're asking me.
That's correct.
Teachers with guns, I'm totally against that. We can't have that. We got enough, like you said, enough problems with gun control as it is already. We got people walking around in Walmart that's got concealed carries going on. I'm a little bit scared of that. I got some people walking around with open carry. I'm a little bit afraid of that because I don't know who's who out here anymore, okay? We got so many illegal guns that's being floated around and passed around here, not just here, but nationwide. Gun control is a problem. And for teachers to have weapons on their sides, I'm totally against that. We need to get some certified officers in there on the ground, boots on the ground, certified people that can maintain the order in these institutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Simmers, the same question. The country is floating Army teachers in the classroom. What are your thoughts about that?
Don't hit me when I say this, Leo, but I'm a little younger than you. And when I went to school, the teachers still whipped your butt, okay? They still whipped you with a paddle. I realize that we live in a different world today, but no, I am not for arming a person that does not know how to use a gun, okay? Just like he said, I see people on the streets every day that shouldn't be carrying a gun. If you carry a gun, you better know how to use it, okay? Period. But we do have a plan. We have a plan to put an armed police officer in every school in this parish. Am I a strong 2A supporter? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Am I conservative? Yes, I am. But just the thought of a teacher who does not know what he or she is doing with a firearm scares me more than you know. If you got a gun, you need to know how to use it, or it can get you hurt. Thank you.
Mr. Bergeron, the same question.
Yes, I believe our educators ought to be teaching our children. That's why we have school resource officers in every school in the parish. That's what we're training those guys to do. Those are our armed guards within the school system. They're trained. They're trained to know what to look for. They're trained to react to an active shooter. That's what I believe, putting our school resource officers in our schools instead of teachers having weapons.
Thank you. Mr. Simmers, we're going to start with you. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a few more questions. We're getting towards the time. Again, if we don't ask your question tonight, please feel free to come to the candidate and ask them. We're going to try to get through these questions as quickly as possible. Thank you. Mr. Simmers, we'll start with you. Tell us your plans for sensitivity training of officers and accountability of officers, handling each arrest by the books and not emotions.
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. So the last forum we did, we all harped on training. Training is such an important part of not only law enforcement, but any position that any job that you have in life, you must continue your education, okay? And sensitivity is a big thing. Hey, look, these cops, these firemen, these first responders, they see some things that most normal people shouldn't see, and some of them are broken, and some of them are too proud, you know, and maybe I'm one of them too, to talk to somebody and to say, hey, man, I need some help. You know, we look at dead kids, we look at dead people. It's just we look at stuff that's not normal. So but going back to, it all goes back to training. We need to train these deputies, and we need to have an open line of communication with our deputies, and we need to let them know that it's okay that you're feeling that way. You're not broken. You can be fixed. We can bring you in, we can counsel you, and we can figure out these problems. But I do believe that there needs to be sensitivity training when it comes to dealing with the public. Some of these cops have chips on their shoulders, and
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
Mr. Bergeron, same question. Tell us your plan for sensitivity training of officers and accountability of officers in handling each arrest by the books and not by emotions.
Yeah, as training coordinator for my office, it comes down to in-service training. I mentioned diversity training. Let's get with the best practices of law enforcement, set policies and procedures, and let's train our deputies. In-service training is very important. Everyone goes through it, and it's very important. So I believe in that diversity training, that implicit bias training, that sensitivity training.
Same question, Mr. Fontenot. Would you like to repeat it? Tell us your plan for sensitivity training of officers and accountability of officers in handling each arrest by the books and not by emotions.
First off, with the sensitivity, we have to be aware of all of the mental health statuses of all our staff, all of our law enforcement. We have to make sure they're on point, they're on line. That's the job of your supervisors that's in charge of his crew. He's supposed to let me know or let somebody know that, hey, this guy's in trouble. I can think back when this young man, uniform patrol, he had an encounter with the DOTD worker. If all of you could think back to that on the interstate, he had to execute him, okay? DOTD worker. I saw the young man, and I wanted to make sure he was all right. I wanted to make sure he was still stable and mentally stable enough to still do his duties, his required duties. So we have to stay on top of this mental health.
Thank you. All right. We're going to have 2 more questions, and then we'll have closing statements. Ms. Bergeron, we'll start with you. What are 4 ways you will work, or what will you do to build community trust? So let me consolidate that for you. What are 4 ways you will work to build community trust?
Again, your actions speak louder than words. I believe in open door policy. I believe in creating some of the programs. One of my programs is the SALT, Seniors and Law Enforcement Together, where you go out and to the nonprofits and the church groups and offer presentations to the seniors. How about the program Coffee with Cops? Getting involved. Let's have community meetings, dialogue between the public and the sheriff's office. That's how you regain trust. That's how you build trust. Be consistent with your actions and treat people fairly.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, the same question. What 4 ways will you build community trust?
First off, I would start off by subjecting myself to the community of 1. Second, you would install those qualities and pass it on to your deputies that's out here, that's in the community more than yourself. Getting involved with the nonprofit organizations, the church groups, the representatives of the communities that are concerned about what's going on in their communities, and putting this in place and making it a plan. You're putting this plan into place, and if you're holding your deputies to this and making sure that they're out here doing their civic duty with trying to stay attached to the public, I think we can regain the trust of the public once again.
Thank you. Mr. Simmers, same question. What 4 ways will you work to build community trust?
Well, I think it's going to take a lot more than 4 ways, but I could give you a little rundown. Being present as a sheriff, being in that office every single day, having an open door policy, being accountable, holding my deputies accountable, but also believe in placing community ambassadors in and around the community, okay? We use the word diverse here, and we use the word diverse a lot, okay? And that just doesn't necessarily mean a black or white thing, okay? Irwinville is a lot different than Addis. Addis is a lot different than Port Allen, all right? I believe in putting community ambassadors who will be full-time law enforcement officers in that community. And they're not just going to be just strictly a law enforcement officer, but they're going to come to your house when your kid doesn't want to go to school. They're going to talk to you. They're going to be a leader. They're going to be a role model. I believe that if we do these things and we do them the correct way, the community will begin, just like Major Fontenot just said, it'll begin to regain its trust in this office. The trust with this office is broken. That's no secret. Everybody in here knows that. It's broken. And I believe we do that through community actions.
Thank you. All right, final question, and then we'll have closing statements. There's a lot of stealing and corruption that goes on within the department. How do you plan on keeping it from happening again? I'll repeat the question. There's a lot of stealing and corruption that goes on within the department. How do you plan on keeping it from happening again? Yes, sir.
Checks and balances, checks and balances, checks and balances. I approached the administration a couple of years ago about no longer taking cash. Cash is evil, okay? Cash is easy to steal. I was shut down. No problem. This is their administration. They can do what they want with it. With me, you're going to get things that are going to change, okay? And checks and balances, okay? We have to hold everybody accountable. If you catch somebody doing something wrong and we put them in jail, it'll be less likely that that happens again. I don't know how much simpler I could break it down. Checks and balances.
Thank you. Mr. Bergeron, the same question. There's a lot of corruption and stealing that goes on within the department. How do you plan on keeping it from happening again?
From the financial standpoint, you put financial controls in place with the money. Second of all, you hold your employees accountable. And when they do commit a crime, you act swiftly. That will deter any other employee from being a bad actor in the department. Again, you put internal controls in place, then you hold your employees accountable, and when they do act up, you act swiftly.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, same question. There's a lot of corruption and stealing that goes on in the department. How do you plan on keeping it from happening again?
I think at this time we have some measures in place as it relates to the collection of cash in the ticket and tax office at this time. Sheriff is an ex officio tax collector, so you know you have a lot of funds coming through there, whether it be cash money to pay your taxes, or whether it's check or money orders and things of that nature. So, like I said, if you put a different method of accepting these funds in place, to where this temptation is not prevalent with this accepting of the cash, I think you can eliminate that problem. Thank you.
Okay. We have time for one last question. Okay. Last question. Promise you, last question. And Mr. Simmers, we're going to start with you, correct? Okay, thank you. How will you prioritize mental health for your officers? How would you prioritize mental health for your officers?
Mental health for my officers?
Yes.
Okay, we touched on this just a couple of questions ago. Not only cops, but first responders in general, they see things that most normal people don't see. We need to keep an eye on them. We need to have an open line of communication. We need to have dialogue with these people. We need to have some psychiatric people on staff, you know? Not just when something bad happens, like Major Fontenot said earlier, the tragic incident that happened on the interstate. Okay, that guy gets sent to a shrink and he goes talk to him, and you know, he gets a clean bill of health, so to say. We need to keep our eyes on these people at all times, because this is real life out there. These guys, these men and women that put these badges on, that don these the bunker gear, that work for Acadian, they see some very traumatic things. And we, as leaders, we, as human beings, need to worry about our people. And we need to check on them, and we need to make sure they're okay.
Thank you. Mr. Bergeron, how do you plan to prioritize mental health for your deputies?
Yeah, I think mental health is very important, especially in critical incidents where deputies are involved in officer-involved shootings, use of force actions, and just seeing traumatic events on a day-to-day basis. I believe in having someone on staff to to handle that, to talk to the deputies, to counsel the deputies. I know at the Attorney General's office, we have one on staff for our cybercrime unit to be able to go talk to them, talk to the counselors about what they see on the streets. So I'm 100% in favor of having that type of person on staff to cope without, to handle the situations for the deputies.
Thank you. Mr. Fontenot, final question. How do you plan to prioritize mental health for your deputies?
Prioritize mental health. We have to be very observant of all those that we work around. You never know what's going on the inside. As a traffic cop, motorcycle officer, I've seen a lot of things out there on the interstate, right here in town. You've seen death. We've had to pull people outside of vehicles, whole family full of people. We had to pull them out of the vehicle. We had to take care of them properly. So everybody is built on a different level, on a different wavelength. Everybody don't, I guess, relate to dramatic events like everyone, like the other person would. So therefore, we have to be very observant of those that work with us and around us to make sure that they're still online. Thank you.
Thank you. That will conclude the questions from the audience for our forum. Now we'll have 2 minutes for closing statements. Mr. Bergeron, we started with you. Mr. Fontenot, we'll start with you with closing statements. You have 2 minutes.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Leo Fontenot. I've been with the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office 31 years. I've been the same professional public servant protecting and serving the parish of West Baton Rouge for 31 years. I'm homegrown. I've been here, boots on the ground, come up through the ranks, starting out as a jailer in 1992 at the old courthouse with 66 prisoners on the 3rd floor. Roll over to 1997 when they opened up the new facility. Got promoted to a sergeant supervisor trainer. 97 to about 2000. Worked in the facility, come out to uniform patrol, from patrol officer to becoming the first African-American motorcycle officer in 2000. 2000 to 2007, I patrolled, worked traffic, also assisted with uniform patrol. From there, I returned back to administration at the courthouse. I worked as a courthouse bailiff, civil processing server, and also office report taker. From there, I got promoted in 2012, July 2012, to become the chief administrator on the criminal side of the office, where I am still now serving as the active chief administrator in that capacity. I signed on and I said that I will be all that I can be. I've been all that I can be, and I hope to be a little bit more if only you would allow me to become your first African-American sheriff here at West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office. I'm the second minority in the history of the job to ever apply for it. Okay? My number is 55.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. It's okay. All right, Mr. Simmers, 2 minutes closing remarks.
Once again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out here. It really means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to these guys. I wasn't scared coming out here. I'm lying. We all get on our nerves, and we all have to come out here, and we all need to be responsive to you, the people of this parish. Like I said, you care. You care. This is the only job that I've ever had as an adult other than working on my uncle who's sitting right back there at Sugarcane Farm my whole life. Okay? This is all I know. This is all I know is how to serve this community. Yes, I might not have been born here, but I moved here. I moved my family here. This is where I'm going to raise my children. My kids are in school with your kids. I have a 1-year-old. He's not even in school yet, but he will be in school with your kids, okay? This is a passion for me. I have a sincere desire to serve. I was once, it is true, in a position at this sheriff's office to make a difference. The day that I realized that I can no longer make that decision, I separated myself from this sheriff's office, and I made it a promise to myself that I was going to knock on every single door in this parish and try to talk to as many people as I can. If I haven't been to your house yet, my cell phone number is plastered on every social media, every website, every push card that I have. I encourage you to call me. I want to talk to you. I want to know what your concerns are. I feel you and I hear you. I want to make a change. I'm tired of the same old, same old, same old. My wife and I talked about this. I could have retired at 49 years old with 100% of my salary for the rest of my life. 100% of my salary for the rest of my life at 49. I would have went right back to work for that man over there on the sugarcane farm. Young enough to start my life over and do something else. I did not want to do that. I did not want to take the easy road. I wanted to work hard, and I wanted to show everybody in here and everybody in this parish that I truly, truly want to make a change. My number's 56. My name's Zach Simmers.
Thank you. Mr. Bergeron, 2 minutes closing remarks.
Thank you. Next month, you will be asked to elect a new sheriff. This will be the first time in 20 years that this seat will be open. You will be asked to elect a sheriff who will keep West Baton Rouge safe, but also be accountable to the public for which they serve. You know, there's a saying, nothing changes if nothing changes. I'm here to tell you that this office needs change. I'm the only candidate that's not working for the West Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office. You, as the voters, need to decide who is the best candidate to offer that change, to offer that new direction, and to offer that new vision. I want to put my 31 years of law enforcement to work for you, the people of West Baton Rouge. My promise to you is I will be accountable to the people of the parish. I will hold my employees accountable. And you will be proud to call me sheriff. I humbly ask for your support, your prayers, and your vote on October 14th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, please give all our candidates a hand one more time. Gentlemen, on behalf of the Justice for Trail and the NAACP, thank you all for coming out. If you could wait just briefly, we're going to have some closing remarks for some of our partners. First, we would like to recognize the West Side Journal for broadcasting this live on Facebook. So when you go home and you go on social media, you will be able to see this again on Facebook. We'd like to thank Tech Boy Group for helping out with that. Elliot Dogan in the back, thank you very much. And our faithful volunteers who were here last night and are here tonight, the lovely ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, thank you very much. And we're going to hear from Miss Angela very briefly, followed by, is Mr. McCallahan here with the NAACP? Okay. Pastor Brown, okay. And then we'll hear from Ms. Tara, the President of Justice for Trail.
Thank you so much, and it has been a pleasure to serve this evening. And to each candidate, we appreciate you. We appreciate your service, and thank you so much. Just a few things. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, oh my, is a national organization, but we are here locally, and many of our members live in West Baton Rouge. We also are here to service through our forum, which is our Advocate for Social Justice Forum. So we support voter registration, we support voter education, and we support Get Out the Vote. So just a few dates. If you saw these in your seat, September the 23rd is the last day to register to vote online. If you have not registered to vote, register. And you can do it online. We put a little QR code on here. So it'll take you right to the Secretary of State's office, and encourage everyone in your family, friends. You've heard each candidate here tonight to register to vote. Early voting begins September 30th through October 7th. September 30th through October 7th. So that's right around the corner. We put also QR codes on here. If you don't know where to go vote, you can click on there and you can see where you are going. Also, if you need a ride to the polls, there's a QR code on here that will give you a ride to the polls. So we want to make sure that there is no excuse for you not making it. And then October the 14th is the key date. October the 14th. Now, we know that's game day for a lot of different universities. So what do? Early vote. Early vote. You don't have to worry about getting your sandwiches together and, you can get out there and tailgate. Make sure you early vote, and you don't have to worry about it on October the 14th. But the key is to go out and vote. So we thank J4F. We thank the NAACP. We thank each and every nonprofit, Road to Justice, and of course the West Side Journal. And it has been a pleasure to join you this evening and serve you this evening. And we wish every candidate very well. Thank you.
Thank you again, Ms. Angela. Thank you, God. Thank you all for supporting us in this effort. Thank you. Before we move on to remarks by Pastor Brown, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize any elected officials. Are there any elected officials in the crowd? Please wave your hand so we can recognize you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Thank you guys for coming out. Could you give them a hand, please? Okay. And we have Pastor Brown now with the NAACP, West Baton Rouge Parish.
Good evening, good evening. We want to congratulate these candidates also, and to wish you well, because one of you are about to inherit a hot mess. One of you are about to inherit a hot mess. That's what we have here now. It's been a hot mess. I'll be the bad guy. I'll be the one to say it. That's what we're dealing with right now, because I've been here 70 years, since Belvin, and I've never seen officers be charged with the number of crimes that we have. I mean, harassment of women, we got money missing, murders, shooting shots behind the head, a whole list. So President Mike McCallahan has left, but we want to let you know that the next administration, because of the last administration, will be watched, monitored. I mean, I hate that for you guys. Y'all didn't do it, but y'all just happen to be inheriting that mess. They've made calls up to Washington, D.C., NAACP has, and the federal government is going to be watching because of all this stuff that's going on now. So I just want to wish y'all good. I just want to say good luck. We're going to be praying. I ask everybody for prayers for this next sheriff. Please pray for him. Please pray for him. He's going to need it. He's going to need it. And also, where I put my loyalties lie in, God is not asleep. God is not asleep. God is not asleep. So all these things that have been done, somebody got to pay. That's the way God operates. He's not asleep. And all these things that has been done, I call it against the people. We have to hold these guys accountable. And I've just been praying that God will bless us with the right man to do the job. God bless y'all.
Thank you, Pastor Brown. Thank you very much. And now we'll have our final remarks from the founder of our organization and our leader, Ms. Tara Snurl from Justice for Trail. Please greet her with a hand. Hand clap, please. She's worked very tirelessly to make sure that this event has gone on for the last 6 years, and her labors are not in vain.
Again, we want to thank you guys for coming out tonight. We thank all the candidates for participating, especially thanks for a clean race here. We started our organization with a tragic death of my son. We wanted to get involved with the community. We are currently hosting a Stop the Violence event because my desire, my passion as a parent is to not see this happen continuously in our community. My son's death was the first death that we had had in 4 years in our community. And talks broke down with our sheriff. And again, as a parent, that's not something that you want to see. You want to see your community embrace you when you have a loss. You want to look at ways where you can improve, whether it's safety, training, violence, whatever that issue is. You want to see ways where you can collaborate. Unfortunately, again, we did not have that from the sheriff's office. So we've looked at ways to just get out as a community, as a nonprofit organization, and put our boots in the ground. So we're here, we've been hosting these forums because we do want our candidates to know, we do want our elected officials to know that we're watching. We want our community to be safe. We want our community to thrive. So I'm thankful for you guys being here tonight. But again, we need love, we need faith. We just need to come together as a community. So I'll be working with you guys. Again, with the Stop the Violence event, a lot of things that we're gonna have in the community. So we just ask that we collaborate as one. I grew up here, went to school with Jeff. I mean, it's changed a lot, but I still have faith in my community. I think we can come together. Thank y'all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tara. And Ms. Tara, the Stop the Violence event, what's the date on that again? It's going to be October the 28th, and we look forward to having everyone come out and support that wonderful event. That will conclude our forum for tonight. Again, thank you all for coming. It's been a long 2 days. We hope that you enjoyed listening to the candidates, and remember to get out and vote when election day comes. Thank you all, and have a good night.